Morning everyone and welcome in Let's Connect with Prerna. My today's live conversation is with Ms. Aditi Mishra, and I'm inviting Aditi ma'am to join in for the conversation today. I have invited Aditi ma'am to join. Ma'am is principal Delhi Public School Gurgaon, and she'll be live with us in some time. Hi ma'am.
Hi Prerna. Good to see you.
Yeah, same here. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome once again. My today's live conversation is with Miss Aditi Mishra. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
So, ma'am, as my series of this conversation is based on post-pandemic scenario. When I say post-pandemic, I talk about the lockdown because pandemic is still there and we all are following the protocols. So, ma'am, I generally wanted to talk about the behavior related changes because here, like when I visit the schools, I go to and talk to many students, and I see that the teachers, the feedback of the teachers and the student is same that the consistency is not there, that concentration skills are again missing. So, what do you have to say because you've been observing a lot of students? So, as per your observation, this post lockdown, after 1.5 years, students are coming back to the school, sitting there for like 4 5 hours. So, what is that difference you have noticed when it is about their behavior?
So, thank you for the question, Prerna, and thank you for this conversation. Actually, much before the lockdown ended, this was a conversation I was having with my leadership team within the school, with the group of parents who are parent representatives, who are elected representatives, and with the student council. And I've always believed that the problem is somewhat mitigated if you address it beforehand.
True.
And we were having this conversation even before school opened, that what will happen when school opens? What should we expect? Yeah. So to say that only students are affected is not right, because I think parents are affected, teachers are affected, and are affected. Everybody. It's not been a very easy solution sitting at home. It has been even more difficult to get back to work. So in that scenario, expecting the difference, the few changes we made were that after every period, especially in the smaller classes, we've allowed children to move around. Normally, a child would just sit till the break, and then go out and play with friends or eat tiffin or whatever, go to the cafeteria. Now, consciously, we've allowed children that after a 40-minute class, just move around, go and meet a friend, take a little walk, get up and stretch. We are also running hybrid classes. So in every class, there are 3 or 4 children who are working, who are, joining from home. It could be because they are vulnerable, or they are sitting with a vulnerable population, maybe having grandparents at home, or they are immunocompromised, or they are asthmatic. It could be anything. So in that situation, the teacher has to address the problems of children on screen. So blink your eyes, look far away, warm your hands and put your hand on your eye. All that is happening in the hybrid space, and in the class, teacher gets them to get up, stretch, move up, move your neck. So all those things which help a child to physically relax.
Right.
And of course, we've tried to make sure that it's not study all the time. For the first 2 weeks, I insisted the teachers must talk about the pandemic. If you don't talk about it, it stays bottled up. So talk about what you're feeling like. What happened then? Was there a feeling of alienation? Was there a feeling of lassitude coming in? Was it very comfortable at one level that you only have to wear something decent to the portion visible on screen, and Niche wearing something very comfortable. So if you talk about it and there is more articulation, it somehow helps a little bit more. So when they came back to school, we saw these changes. And the very famous learning gaps, which everybody is talking about, there also we address it in a different way. The teachers have sort of seen what kind of learning gap a child has, right? It could be unable to be integrated socially. It could be writing skill which has gone missing. It could be verbal skills which are affected. It could be reading which is affected. So they have made in all classes groups. Unconsciously, it's not written anywhere that this is this problem. And it's rare that you have a child with all 5 problems. So after having identified, we are working in those small groups with those children for their specific gap.
Okay.
And in the last PTM that we had, after 3-4 weeks of school opening, we've shared this with the parent. And what has been very nice and very heartwarming is that parents have understood that, yes, we also notice our child is not speaking as much as they used to. They used to come back from school jabbering about what happened and who they spoke with and who they had a fight with and who they shared tiffin with. That had become very silent in the house. So we've given little, intervention that what can be done. How do you get a child to start talking again? What is the school doing to help them start talking again? Somebody who's forgotten how to write
Yeah.
back, to hold the pencil. So my expectation optimistically is that when we address this and we've identified and had a diagnosis, then within the next, I think 4 to 6 weeks, things should be perfectly fine when the children come back from the vacation, because everybody, the teacher and the parent, will have worked on these problems.
Yes. Then there is also a batch, if we talk about the toddlers, like, they were supposed to join, like, as per their age. They were supposed to go to the schools in 2020, but now they are coming in 2022. So, I mean, obviously for them it's a new world altogether, and they've been missing, like, I mean, they must be attending the virtual classes, but then the offline, that aura, that atmosphere of being in a school, like, it's altogether different. So what steps, or, like, I mean, how teachers are engaging with them, so that once they are in school, they
Hmm.
like to be there, and they are happy in that engagement, and they are involving themselves, in the school premise, especially the toddler group.
Well, online and offline both, because the parents are very deeply involved. There was no way a 3 or 4 year old could put on the camera, or the laptop and start classes. So the parents were there, and it was very easy for the teacher and the parent to sort of converse with each other and work together
Yeah.
physically for the child's academic. So
Remember your voice.
that worked well. That worked very well. And the little interventions that you have in school, like cutting and pasting, like using plasticine to strengthen the hand muscles, all that was being done at home, like getting them to even work with atta if there was no plasticine at home. That worked well. And I was very surprised, because I had thought that the little ones would really cry and weep and wail when they came to school. It was quite the opposite. I
Okay.
mean, the older ones didn't weep and wail, but we could see that some of them were frankly sleepy early in the morning. But the little ones were so enthusiastic. Probably the parents had been pepping them up. Because parents have worked very hard with children as well. While I applaud teachers all the time, I'm also very happy to applaud the role of parents in these difficult times,
Yeah.
supporting education. So the little ones have had more learning gaps, in the sense that we could not get them to do the kind of hand exercises and the kind of running and walking and skipping and jumping that normally we do in school. But again, it's something which is not really a blip in their learning curve. Another 6 to 8 weeks, and they'll be back to what they would have been doing in July 2020. They will be doing in July of 2022. I'm very confident.
Ma'am, we often, we have a psychological counselor now in the schools, but I still feel that, that gap is there. Students aren't, utilizing this service, because being, having special help, you can go and talk to somebody who has her expertise in this, I mean, in this department. But still, there are a lot many students, they have that hitch. They are, they still feel that what will their friends feel, or what will the teachers think. If I'll be sharing my issue with the psychologist, it should not go to my family. So these barriers are still there. I mean, I see that in lots of schools there are academic out coordinators, there are academic counselors, there are psychologists sitting, and they are actually pushing also. They are, trying to bridge that gap so that student comes, but still it's missing. So hear your message to students, especially because I see that I've been talking a lot on this, that it's just a myth, we should not be like this. I mean, discussing a psychological problem doesn't say that we have some issue. It's more like, if we are being communicative, we will definitely get the solutions also. So your message to this younger group who still feels that going to a psychologist or a coordinator or a psychological help there in the school will give them a trademark, or people will start looking at them like, oh, he or she has some mental related, issues.
So we managed to break this myth almost a decade ago. Um, we we have about 6 counselors in the school for different levels, and for me, talking to a counselor is like talking to a doctor. So if I have a headache, I don't have problem telling the whole world that I have a headache, I have a heavy head. By the same token, I should not have a problem if I'm saying I'm feeling anxious about this particular event, or I'm feeling slightly depressed, I'm feeling a little upset. Why is there a shadow around that?
Yeah.
How we broke this was firstly by having counselors ready to speak. Then we have something called a peer education group. The peer educators are from the student group only. So from class 9 to class 12, there's a special group of children, almost 50, 60 of them, who do the work of a counselor, but in a more informal and in a more non-threatening, if I may call it, way. So they have their roles assigned, they have their modules assigned. So they could be talking about peer pressure, they could be talking about self-image, they could be talking about anxiety, they could be talking about not doing well. Anyone, I mean, the topics are all they're devised by the children and created by them. And they go to classes once a fortnight. And it's a closed door meeting with that class. And whatever the findings are shared with me without any names being taken. So there is a lot of not secrecy but confidentiality which is maintained. So then it becomes okay for a child of 13 or 14 to say that they're confused. It's okay to be confused. We are worried. Okay to be worried. We are anxious. It's okay. We'll deal with it. So if sometimes what we think is a psychological problem could be just a problem of non-articulation. Yeah. So if children can talk about their own peers, a class 7 child talking to a class 9 or a 10 child, and if the problem can be addressed and sort of sorted there, fantastic. If these children feel that no, this requires the intervention of an adult, then they tell the counselor. Very often children find it quite easy to talk to me, but they start with this, that ma'am, I'm telling you something, but don't tell anybody. So I always tell them, I say, I don't want to be called a liar later. If I feel it can be kept with me, between you and me, I'll keep it. But if I feel that it must be told to a counselor or a doctor or your parent, then I will. That trust you have to have in me. You cannot, expect me to not speak about something which needs intervention. I'm not a trained psychologist. After being in school for nearly 4 decades, there are some things I know. I may be able to guide you. But if I feel it requires the intervention of a psychologist or a counselor or a special educator or a parent, then I will definitely, and so please trust me. And I'm happy to say that children don't anymore, because now we have a career counselor also. So if that is not to be, treated like as if something's gone wrong with a child, why can't he decide for himself? Why must he need a career counselor? अपने आप सोचो कि doctor बनना है कि teacher बनना है. If that is okay, then why not talk about anxiety or alienation or whatever a child is facing,
Yeah, I think that's very, very important. Also, the moment you have this trust that, yeah, where मैं जहाँ बात कर रहा हूँ वहां से मुझे एक सही राय मिले भी, because as you have said is very right कि that जिस चीज का आंसर आप दे सकते हो, that's very good of you that yeah you're
and importantly the children should not feel that they're being judged. There's no judgment here. Hiding तभी होती है जो लगता है judgment होएगा, झूठ तभी होता है जो लगता है judgment हो जाएगा. But if the child feels that they're sitting in a non-judgmental space where they'll only be heard and listened to and accepted for who and what they are, then I think half the problems are sorted there.
Absolutely, because they're actually scared of that they'll be judged, or their thing which is very confidential and would be shared. So if we start working on this, I think they'll be more coming and opening up and discussing about their issues, and that's very, very important.
Yeah.
So all this while, ma'am, when I started the journey of my conversation, it was when the COVID was at its peak in 2021, and now I mean things are better, and I'm very sure that, because I'm a very positive person, I'm sure that soon we'll stop talking about the COVID and COVID cases. Well, but in this 1.5 years, I've seen a lot of struggles, not only for students, parents, but especially for these educators worldwide. Because I came across families where people are not well, but still the teacher, she's taking the class. So your message to all my teachers listening to me, and later when they'll watch the video, uh, you know,
So in the first place, I think I have nothing but the greatest respect for this band of people that we call educators, of which I am a part. Because I think we took to something which we had never thought we could, and we were untrained for, going online. March of 2020, when we anticipated that a pandemic is going to be declared and we might have to work online, we had no idea how we're going to do it. In exactly 48 hours, we had a plan. Most 90% of schools had a plan. This is how we're going to move ahead. This is how we're going to train our teachers. So for all teachers, including me, we had to unlearn and then relearn. And that was the biggest struggle, I think. The second thing, yes, when somebody in the family is unwell and you are expected to come and deliver a class. In schools like mine, it was a very open conversation I had with the entire staff, and I would send them video messages. We're going through unusual times. Don't call them difficult times, because वो थोड़ा सा नेगेटिव सा लगता है. अनयूजुअल टाइम है कि हम घर में बैठे हैं, क्लासेस घर से ले रहे हैं, लैपटॉप से पढ़ा रहे हैं, बच्चे ने कैमरा ऑफ कर दिया, आप उसको पुकार रहे हो, उसका नाम वो नहीं आ रहा वापस, सो गया या भाग गया. We don't know what is happening. So in all that situation, to survive was a big thing. But we did say, and most schools said that if there's a problem, if you are unwell, your child is unwell, your mother or father or in-law is unwell, your husband is unwell, please take the day off. There is no point coming into class in a harried state or leaving the class in between. We will manage somehow. We'll club classes if necessary, or we'll inform the parent. And parents have been very supportive. Just tell them that today the teacher is really not well, so we are moving the timetable up. Last period will be made free. They will not have classes after 1 o'clock. Be honest, there's nothing wrong with that. So in that honesty, what happened, because we trusted completely, the teacher would say, but my husband sleeps till 9 o'clock. He has COVID, but he's going to be asleep till 9. Can I take classes from 7:30 to 9? And we allowed that. So, that kind of open conversation, that kind of open trust between the employer and the employee went a way in preserving their stability and making them feel that they matter. They're very important for us, and we are there with them. I think that was a very reassuring thing for them, that they will not be thrown out or reprimanded ki class mein kyun nahi aaye. And I think if you give a lot of trust, you get trust back. Then people were not goofing off work. बिल्कुल ठीक है, लेकिन आज क्लास में नहीं जाएंगे. Everyone stretched themselves. In all the schools that I know of, good schools, teachers were working no longer from 8 to 1, 1:30. It was going on for the afternoon. A PTM भी हो रहा है शाम को, department meeting हो रही है. You're preparing lessons because you're doing something you've never done before. So a huge shout out to teachers globally for what they did in the past 24 months.
And it was really nice, having you here and doing this live conversation. It doesn't feel that I haven't met you. It's like, so well the conversation is going. So thank you so
What
much.
the concept taught us also, that we can have a conversation without even meeting.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Aditi ma'am, for coming live with me and giving me your time and sharing your views.
Thank you. Thank you, Prerna.